Hello crafty friends, I'm Lien from Studio Kato and I'm so glad you're joining me again today. Today's video is super quick because I am using up my scraps. This means you won't see the stamping portion of this card, but I will explain what I did and I will give you some tips about designing super quick cards for things you might have left over from previous projects. I die-cut a panel from Clairefontaine DCP 250 GSM white cardstock with the Pinkfresh Studio Mini Slimline Essentials bundle die set. And I'm just swiping on some color with my ink cubes directly onto the paper. Now the big tip in this video is the number 3. Things just work in uneven numbers. A group of 3 or 5 of anything is just pleasing to the eye. So I picked 3 colors that I love. You just pick your favorite colors if they go together, or just stick to one side of the rainbow. You get 3 colors and you do whatever it is you want to do on your card with just 3 colors. Now I do have a lot of white space on this card, so I will add some splatter to spice things up, but I thought it would be interesting to note how I divided my card as well. The majority of the space is white. I will even prop this panel up onto a larger white card base, so I can have a nice white margin all the way around. But the majority of this panel is also white. I didn't do this half-half, that just doesn't work, because then you have an even number, basically. You have 2 equal parts, and that's less pleasing to the eye than if you stick to a third of the card. I didn't stick to a third exactly, but I didn't go over too much, and I didn't go half-half. I stuck to one corner of the card, and you can even see that my green stripe is less wide than the other stripes. So your eye can tell, even if it's subconsciously, your eye can tell that the stripe continues off the card, which makes it seem like there is more to the design. Now, these are the small butterflies by Pinkfresh Studio, and I just stamped them with Versamark ink onto heat-resistant acetate and embossed them with Wow Gold-Rich Pale embossing powder. And I did the same with the sentiment, except that's just stamped and embossed on white cardstock. And these are all leftover scraps I still have. I made a bunch of these sentiments and a bunch of these butterflies, and I always say I will make cards with them, and then I never do, but this is a great way to use them up. Now for some dimension, I am propping this panel up onto 4 pieces of thick white cardstock. I cut them slightly smaller than the panel, and I will just glue them all together with my Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. Now for clean and simple cards, or any card design that has a lot of white space, propping up a smaller panel onto your card base helps to fill up that white space and yet not take any of it away. You will just end up with a wide margin all the way around and a lot of white space on your propped up panel probably, but it breaks up that white space without adding too much to it that would distract from your actual design. And essentially what that wide margin does is it frames your design. And your design is a piece of art and it deserves to be framed. You don't need a frame die for this, you just need a nice margin. And this is definitely one of those cards where you don't need all the supplies I am using. You just need some paper and whatever stamps you have. You can use flowers, you can use dies for this as well. I'm just more comfortable stamping, but you could absolutely use dies for the group of 3 that I'm using. So I'm folding my butterflies in the middle so I can prop up those wings and have some nice movement in my design. This just adds a little touch of something. If you have flowers or leaves, you can just adhere them in one place and zhuzh up the leaves in the other, so that would be nice as well to create some movement. Just add a little something to your design and it would make it a lot more interesting. Now I'm adhering them with glossy accents. This is basically clear glue but glossy glue, Luckily, what I'm adhering on top of it is acetate, which is also glossy. And glossy accents sticks well to acetate. I think you need glossy accents in your stash because it's a different glue and it's very strong. I don't recommend it to glue everything together, but for things like this or embellishments, it's great. Now I'm also adhering these butterflies down so they hang over the edge a little bit. This again will make it seem as if your design continues over the edge of your card, but also because these are butterflies, it adds some movement because they seem to be flying off your card. This is called breaking the box because you break through the frame of your design. And it looks interesting because you start to imagine what is happening off the frame. Now I have a bunch of these simple sentiments by Pinkfresh Studio, and originally I was going to make a birthday card with this, but this sentiment fit better in my design. It almost fits exactly into the lower third of the card and into that third on the right when you're looking horizontally. So it sits perfectly in a third spot. Now I chose the lower third and not the upper third, also for a good reason. When you look at the butterflies, it first flows up and then down, and this sentiment is continuing that downward flow. If I'd placed that sentiment at the top of the card, the butterfly would have gone down, and then an up sentiment, and it would have been an even number of things that were up high and an even number of things that were down. And again, even numbers are just less pleasing in design. Once again, I am making a super simple matching envelope. I like to keep my matching envelopes simple anyway, but with this card, you wouldn't really want to create an entire scene on the envelope. I know these matching envelopes are pretty obvious to make and they're super simple and you probably don't really need the video on it, but for those people that want to see them, I want to make them because it's really easy to make mail art. Christina Werner makes it look super difficult because she does crazy things on her envelopes and I wish I was as good as her, but it can be super simple to make some fun, happy mail. For these mini slimline envelopes, the flaps are too long on the top and the bottom, so they overlap each other and you can't really close the envelope. So I just line up the score line of those. In my trimmer, I use the 7 centimeter mark and the 6 centimeter mark, but you can use whatever is pleasing to you. This is just how I make them. And lining up that score line is just the way to make sure your cut is straight. And I'm gluing that together with the Barely Art Precision Craft glue again. I really like this glue. It's not the strongest, I find, but it is very precise and I really like the tip on it. Now I am just doing the same design as I did on my card. I am just swiping on the ink cubes directly onto the paper. This is very different paper because I had to use a scrapbook page because I needed a larger piece for my envelope. And it's textured, which I really like with the ink swiping I'm doing. It gives a really cool effect. So that's it, a super simple card and envelope, but I love the bright colors and the gold, and I hope you do too. If you like this video with some more design tips and me talking through my design choices, please let me know in the comments below and thumbs up this video. That way I know what to include in future videos. If you want to see more of my videos, please subscribe to my channel. I upload almost every day, and you can be notified of that if you click the bell button below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.